A Virgin Australia flight had a narrow miss this week after a lithium battery caught fire on board as the aircraft was descending. Crew quickly extinguished the fire, but it's prompted the airline to review its power bank policy. This is obviously not on board the plane. This is test footage from the FAA in America. Michelle Dickinson is engineer with us this morning. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning.
Geez, they take off quickly, don't they?
Yeah, so it's called thermal runaway, which is basically where a cell within a lithium-ion battery might heat up, and because there are other cells in close proximity and the electrolyte within a lithium-ion battery is flammable, once one sets off, they all set off pretty quickly, and so that's one of the challenges with lithium-ion batteries.
How does it get to a point where it's hot enough to set the others off?
So lots of different ways. One is you've bought a cheap power pack which doesn't have good electronics in there to control things like regulation, voltage regulation. Number two is you've dropped it at the airport and you've given it a bit of a bang. You've damaged one of the cells, you've ignored it, and then you've plugged it in, and that's created a thermal. Or it's heated up too much. So you might have seen at the beach, if you've taken your phone to the beach and it gets too hot, your phone goes, hey, I'm shutting down, I'm too hot. That's actually the battery regulation system stopping your battery overheating by turning the power off your phone. You don't always get those on the cheaper power banks.
What's cheap?
Well, I mean, you can typically buy a power bank in a store that will have some sort of safety rating on it. That is, New Zealand doesn't have a safety rating around our batteries, but there are international standards that they can be held accountable to. But you can also log on to TeamU and buy an unregulated one that doesn't have those safety standards on, or maybe not as good as safety standards. So you don't always know what you're getting if you're buying a cheaper one online.
So should we allow them on planes?
You cannot stop people having lithium-ion batteries on a plane. Most of us are carrying 4 at a time. It's in our smartphone, it's in our laptop, it's in our tablet, it's in our AirPod, it's in everything. I think one of the challenges we're seeing is the common things that are catching fire, especially on planes, are power banks, cheaper power banks, and vapes, cheap vapes. And so maybe a regulation around some of those more common fire risk lithium-ion battery containing products might be good. And there is a sort of general movement across the board. Most of the Asian airlines this year have actually said, we're not going to allow you to use your power bank on board, which is different than what we can do in New Zealand.
Right, okay. So they've obviously had more problems with that in that part of the world, haven't they?
There's been a lot of problems everywhere. So the FAA just released that in 2004 alone, there were 89 on-board lithium-ion battery fires, which is almost 2 a week. So they're going to get more common.
That's insane.
It's pretty common, actually.
So, but we don't think we should ban them completely. Well, you can't ban them completely because they're in everything.
They're in everything.
So we just muddle through.
I think we need better regulation, and I think most people don't even know where their lithium-ion batteries are. I've seen lots of people bung them into their checked luggage, which is where you want to carry it on with you. So if there is a problem with it, the flight attendants can put that fire out very quickly versus it being in the hold. So that's why they say you can't put your lithium-ion battery power pack in your suitcase and check it into the hold. Because if there's a problem there, nobody's there to put it out.
So it's nothing to do with one being pressurised and the other not. That doesn't have any impact on the...
Good power banks are tested against temperature variation and pressure regulation, but keeping it on board close to you in the cabin means that its air pressure is continuous anyway. But the challenge you've got is people not knowing how to treat their power bank. So you should plug it in with the cable that it came with, because that's a voltage regulation thing. If you are plugging your power bank in with a voltage that is too high and it doesn't have a good voltage regulator in, that is a really big challenge and can cause a thermal event in the end. But most people just sort of have one charger that they charge everything in because you get lazy. You take your laptop, your phone.
That's good to know.
But typically power banks should only be charged between 3.5 to 4.5 volts, which is very different to what you might plug your other devices into.
Michelle.
So keep your electrical cables with the device and reduce the risk.
Good information as always.